On this episode of Famous Families, the Lees, America's first family of martial arts. Featuring rare footage from Bruce Lee's years as a child actor in Hong Kong. Exclusive interviews with family members and close friends.
And he held out his arm like that and knocked me back out of the chair. I said, when do we start, man?
Photos and home movies from the Lees' private family collection. Choice clips showing the Lees at their fighting best. And the story behind the shocking death of Bruce Lee.
Finally, I asked someone, is he alive? And they just shook their head.
And the tragedy of his only son, Brandon. Find out why their legend lives on and why their fighting spirit continues to inspire fans the world over. All this and more up next on Famous Families.
Bruce Lee's martial arts action films crossed racial, social, and cultural boundaries. Small wonder that his family did the same. The Lees are a blend of East and West, pride and passion, mind and body. But more than that, you'll soon see that they're a family that embodies the very best of the American dream, that anyone can accomplish anything they set their mind to.
Bruce Lee, the world's premier martial arts hero. At a time when Hollywood offered few roles to Asians, Bruce broke through the cultural barriers. His good looks, speed, and swagger remain the standard to which all other martial artists are compared. Bruce's son Brandon Lee carried on in his father's footsteps, becoming the young martial arts hero of the 90s. And like his father, he died a senseless and tragic death. Shannon Lee now continues the legacy, embarking on an action career of her own. And finally, Linda Lee, the mother of his children and the love of his life. Linda remains the cornerstone of the Lee family, keeping Bruce's memory and philosophy alive. How and where did this martial arts legacy begin?
He was born in San Francisco in 1940 when his parents happened to be touring with the Chinese Opera Company. Bruce's father, Lei Hoi-chun, was an actor in the Chinese opera, so they happened to be on tour when Bruce was born in San Francisco. But at the age of 3 months, he did return to Hong Kong, and he had this nickname in Hong Kong. They called him Never Sit Still, you know. And he also was given a nickname by his family, a term of endearment. He was called Sai Feng. This name in English means little peacock or little phoenix.
But it was the name given the baby by a San Francisco doctor that the world would come to know him as Bruce. Just as the child's name was a blend of East and West, so were his parents.
My father was a very traditional Chinese gentleman. He instilled in us a lot of respect for, of course, yourself, the family, your siblings. We had a lot of people in our household. There were 5 of us, kids. My father was all Chinese, and my mom was half Chinese, half Caucasian. Because of the intermingling and so forth, we were all brought up, you know, telling us in a way, not because somebody told us, because we just felt that there is no boundaries, no cultural boundaries, no people boundaries.
Bruce was an active child whose boundless energy led to his becoming a popular child actor with a style all his own.
Hey kid, bring it here.
Right. Here you are, sir.
You like that, Shanna?
I sure wish I could throw a knife like that.
His father made numerous Cantonese films, and Bruce must have been just a natural, and his father must have recognized this because throughout his childhood, Bruce was involved in the film business, and he made 20 films as a child actor.
He was a born showman. There were a lot of trademarks that are evident in his younger films. The thumbing of the nose, the grimacing to someone when he's mad, the walk even. If you look at the way he walks, it's almost a strut. But that was Bruce from age 6 through to age 32. He always had that.
Despite Bruce's success as a child actor, he never felt completely at ease in Hong Kong.
For the first 4 years of his life, Hong Kong was occupied by Japanese forces during World War II, from 41 to 45. His very early memory is of leaning way over his balcony and shaking his fist in the sky at the Japanese airplanes going over. So those are among his very first memories, of course reinforced later on by the fact that Hong Kong, his home, was ruled by a foreign power, the British.
Bruce acted out his resentments by picking fights with British students and sometimes Chinese students as well. Soon, he became the object of resentment.
Because of his cockiness, people didn't, really like the way he was, acting. So they came out one day and a whole bunch of, other students just came up and beat the heck out of him. And then from that day on, I noticed that he begins to tell himself or ask himself, hey, can I do something to protect myself?
Bruce and his parents agreed that martial arts would be a worthwhile pursuit. But while Li Hui-chun encouraged his son to pursue a traditional, non-violent art form such as Tai Chi, Bruce hungered for something geared more towards practical combat.
He befriended some people and ended up running around with some friends who were members of a style called Wing Chun. And what he liked about Wing Chun was that it was not ornate. It didn't stress form and tradition. It was really geared toward efficient street fighting, and that was exactly what he was looking for.
Bruce's Wing Chun instructor, a highly respected master named Yip Man, was impressed by Bruce's rapid physical development. But he also sensed his students' inner turmoil. Eventually, Yip Man asked Bruce to take time off from practice to work on his spiritual awareness. Bruce reluctantly complied.
He took a Chinese junk out into what would have been the harbor in Hong Kong, and just went out there to be by himself. And he just got mad at himself, and he punched the water. And right then he had a vision, or at least a satori of sorts, an awakening, that's exactly what the teacher was talking about. You have to be able to give like water. You have to be able to adapt like water.
And in time, this principle would become the cornerstone of Bruce Lee's approach to life. But as a headstrong teenager, he still carried a large chip on his shoulder.
Because of a lot of fights, when he got to about 17 or 18, the cops were more or less coming after him. They asked the headmaster to call my mom out there to meet them, which she did. And at that point, they told her that, hey, if your son don't stop now, we're going to have to throw him in jail very soon. So my mom got a little don't know what to do type situation. So she went back and talked to my dad. They had this very serious discussion, and they said, well, it's best that Bruce go back to America to change his environment.
In April of 1959, the 18-year-old set off to live with family friends in San Francisco. For the tough street fighter, this was a time of doubt and vulnerability.
We started to leave, and at that point, Bruce, of course, he's that kind of a, manly type, trying to hold himself together. But I could tell the change in his eyes, his facial features, that, hey, this is starting to change. My life's starting to change.
During the 3 long weeks it took for the ship to cross the Pacific, Bruce was plagued by discomfort, worry, and self-doubt.
He came over in one of the, the lower class accommodations on a ship, and he shared with me that he was, seasick quite a bit of the time, and I think he was really apprehensive as to what he was getting into over here.
Shortly after coming to the United States, he moved to Seattle. He then went to Edison Technical School in Seattle and achieved his diploma credentials so that he could be admitted to the University of Washington.
Bruce majored in philosophy at the university while continuing to practice martial arts. His skills so impressed his fellow students that some began asking him to teach.
I used to run around in front of him and kick telephone posts and stuff, and trying to impress him. And then one day I walked up and asked him if his name was Bruce Lee. He said yes, and I said, you teach Kung Fu? And he said yes. I said, would you like to teach me?
As a teacher, Bruce took what he had learned in Hong Kong and combined it with both Western concepts and theories of his own. This approach was a radical departure from Chinese tradition.
He said basically it is man's quest for knowledge. is an end quest for the wisdom and knowledge.